Futuristic, isn't it? Dystopian, I'd say. It's sci-fi. Me playing sci-fi? I haven't done that for years. So what's brought me back? Today, Solo Board Gaming presents For What Remains, Streets of Ruin. That's brought me back. And it's created by David Thompson from DVG Games. That's what's brought me back. So how did we get to this great big playing area? The faction cards, to 6 different soldiers on each side, to this skirmish war game in a futuristic setting. We better break it all down and start again, step by step, component by component. Let's do it. So, For What Remains, Streets of Ruin by David Thompson and from DVG. Basically, we are looking at skirmish warfare, individual soldiers, that takes place in a post cut. So, For What Remains, Streets of Ruin by David Thompson from DVG Games. Basically, this is a skirmish level that is individuals and individual soldiers and cyborgs. A skirmish level war game that takes place in a post-apocalyptic world. That post-apocalyptic world was created when underground nuclear tests released forces from the basement, from beneath the earth. Due to all the nuclear warfare, most of the earth was destroyed, and various factions now fight over what remains. Now, there are 3 iterations of this game. There's For What Remains, Streets of Ruin. There's Blood on the Rails. And there's Out of the Basement. And all 3 games basically are the same. In other words, they're not expansions, they're not follow-ons. You could start this series by buying any of the 3 games. And each of the 3 games contains 2 different factions. This one, the one we're starting with, contains the Freemen and the Combine. But there are other factions which include Echo, the Soldiers of Light, Earthen, and Order of the New Dawn. And the great part about this, they can be played individually, and you never buy another one of the games. And each of the games, each of the boxes contains a campaign. And with each of the boxes, you can fight individual scenarios, individual skirmishes. You can create your own forces and battles. So it's very sandbox in that way. Or you can link campaigns through Streets of Ruin, Out of the Basement, and Blood on the Rails, combining them into a complete story. And that's the brilliant part about this game. And in fact, you can take factions from, because as I said, there's 2 factions in each box. You can take factions from any box and fight them together. You can play it absolutely solitaire. There are brilliant solitaire rules. You can play it with another player, taking a faction each. You could play it 3-player, 4-player. There's so much versatility in this game. So first of all, we get a nice quality rulebook. Nice glossy paper. I think it's about 27 pages of rules. Full colour, as you would expect from DVG. There's all your components and your introduction. The game layout, to show that we always play the game on a 9-tile layout. Life in the Apocalypse. Now that's just a short story to get you started, if you like. Then we go to, here's the 6 factions that I mentioned. We're starting with the Freemen Coalition and the Combine. The Combine basically is the government. This guy here is a Combine commander, for instance. He's a cyborg type and he controls the mechs that make up the Combine, which are policing the world. The Freemen Coalition, as it says, they're a loose-knit band of human rebels who specialise in guerrilla warfare. And then we've got the Echo, the Soldiers of Light, the Earthen, and Order of the New Dawn. Look at this, the Echo. Faction led by a secretive cabal of humans with psychic powers. Soldiers of Light is another human faction. And then we've got the Earthen, a biologically developed race formed from a mixture of human, mineral, and organic matter. Come on. And the Order of the New Dawn, creatures from a strange subterranean realm known as the Basement. This is the right time to mention as well, all the factions are asymmetrical. There's a beautiful asymmetry in it that make the factions very different to play. All following the same very simple basic combat rules and movement rules and things like that, but each with different characteristics and powers, and we'll be coming on to that later. Then we go through the characters, the reference cards, the character components, setup example. Look at that, all full colour, really simple, really broken down well, nice big text. Terrain, which is dead easy, we'll cover that very, very shortly. Some great illustrations, gameplay actions, examples. Look at this, ranged combat, close combat, area attacks. Haha. We're talking flamethrower and we're talking grenades. Movement. Look at this. This is from the Echo faction, Scion. Hey. This is one of the Earthen, Tremor, where we talk about abilities. Then we go on to campaigns, solitaire play, which is perfect. In general, the gameplay, the rules, the gameplay, the solitaire play, it is seamless. It is so streamlined. It is so easy to play. It's very, very intuitive. I have to say, I read the rules just before I got the game online. I had a quick read through the rules again when I actually got the physical game. I set up the first scenario and I didn't open the rulebook. I guarantee I did not open the rulebook. The rules were that intuitive and that smooth. What I did have to do was check on the player aid card for special abilities and things like that. That takes a while because that's where a lot of the asymmetry comes into it. But oh boy, it was dead easy. And big smile on my face after I'd finished that. After I'd finished that first scenario. Solitaire play activation system, solitaire campaigns, and so on. What you get then is a brilliant backstory. A part of this, because it starts in 1957, I started. It reads so well, it's written so well, and it reads so well. I almost started to say to myself, why don't I remember that? You know, it was quite funny. But this is all called How Things Came to Be, a great backstory to set the scene for our post-apocalyptic dystopian skirmish war game. And final thoughts there from David Thompson, talking about his collaboration with Paul Lowe and Ricardo Tomas. Brilliant. So that's For What Remains Streets of Ruin, the rulebook. The next thing we get are, now you'll get these little booklets in each of the 3 boxes, depending on which ones you choose. These are the faction overview. So we've got Freeman and we've got Combine. So Freeman, it'll go through Look at this guy, Grenadier. So let's count them. I think there's 5 different types in each faction. So this is the Freeman faction, Grenadier. He's got this shoulder-launched rocket launcher or grenade launcher. I think rather a grenade, really. And he's called Grenadier because I know you can lob it over raised terrain. Rocket launcher example to show us how that works. The medic. The medic has an elastoplast on her cheek there, look. The rebel leader, the scout. Brilliant. Move and fire. Move and fire. Fire and move. Brilliant. And the sniper. Yes. Okay, so that's the Freeman, and then the other faction in this particular box is the Combine, led by a cyborg, look. Somewhere a crime is being committed. And he commands and controls the Harpy, the Hellfire, Inferno, shows how his flamethrower works, and Vanguard. These are the main troops for the Combine. So those are the factions, rulebook and factions. And then we've got, let's try this, the Semipalatinsk Legacy. The Semipalatinsk Legacy. Streets of Ruin. Now, these are rather the scenarios and the campaign game for Streets of Ruin. Nice map there to show us where things are happening. Brilliant background story again. And so on. And then you get to scenario 1. Now, you can play them each as standalone scenarios, showing you how the maps are set up and what the individual forces are. It starts off easy with recruit level, and we'll come to levels in a moment. Or you can play it as the first scenario of a campaign. But each of the scenarios are also, as I say, standalone. The campaign continues. Scenario 2, the discovery. Scenario 3, protect the artifact. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. Scenario 4, run the gauntlet. And scenario 5, final assault. As I say, so you can play them as a campaign. You can play them all solitaire. I mean, perfectly, really, really perfectly. Or you can even link them with other boxes of this game, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago. So that's the brilliant documentation there that comes in the box. Not bad, eh? Great quality, easy to read. Okay, to complete the documentation bit of this video, we'll get to the player aid. Good, glossy player aids on heavyweight card. First of all, the Freemen abilities reference. Now, these are the abilities that help make this game, these factions, asymmetrical. So it'll list the abilities. Look, it's only one-sided, and that's the different abilities for the Freemen. Easy peasy. Eventually, you start to learn these. Ambush, combat medic, yes! Inspire, rocket launcher, come on. Sniper, sharpshooter, great. Okay, so that's a Freeman abilities reference card. You get the same thing for the Combine. Completely different list of special abilities. Enhance accuracy, dual strike, flamethrower, hover, repair, surveillance, weapon sensors. Brilliant. So that's that. So each player will get one of those depending on what faction they're playing. Or solitaire. And then the Freeman AI activation reference will show this very, very clearly and very simply in the next segment. But if you're playing solitaire, and you can play solitaire using any of the factions, so you'll choose one faction, and the AI faction, whichever one that might be, will have a page showing what their, or explaining in greater detail what their different types of order are, because each individual character for the AI will be choosing an order to carry out. We'll show that very, very simply very, very soon. There's the same thing for the Combine, the AI activation reference. Oh, I like these. Look, Free Men and Combine, these are the Force rosters. Now, you can photocopy these, and these are your Force rosters for your campaign, and it can show the development of the characters throughout the campaign, or it's also for when you make up your own army. Forget the scenarios, forget the campaign. You just want to do a sandbox skirmish combat game, solitaire, or with yourself and an opponent or multiple opponents. And you can, based on a point system that you agree on beforehand, make up your own force with which to start the game. And you get one for Free Men and for Combine. So that completes the documentation. Now let's get on to the components, the things that we're actually fighting with, and the terrain over which we are carrying out these skirmish battles. So how about the battleground? How about the battleground, our playmat? Well, we get 12 double-sided tiles, geomorphic tiles, 12 of them, double-sided. That's 24 different terrain pieces with which to lay out our 9-tile battle mat. Okay, now, must admit, straight from the off, like most people, I do think they are a bit flimsy. They're on this shiny card. They look brilliant, but we wish they were a bit heavier. You're going to have a problem if you have a shiny table. I can't get them off here. If you have a shiny polished surface, then they are going to skid around as you're playing and as you're moving your pieces. Yes, you can put them under plexi. That's a great way of doing it. I'm not doing that today because of the reflection from my lights. I've used this before. In fact, once you put something on this surface, it's difficult to get it back up again. You're always fumbling to try and get my cards up and things like that, because this is the reverse side of a playmat, and they're one of those typical play mats you can buy for various games. And on the back here, it's this rubberized surface, and it's really quite, it's actually quite difficult to look. It's actually quite difficult to get the card up once you put it down. So that's what I play with, and it holds them quite well. But look, let's get on to the battle mats themselves. They've got great illustrations on them. It's this dystopian, half destroyed area of a city, for instance. These are cars. I'll explain the rest of it, the different colours, in a moment. This is an articulated truck here, a semi. Look at this. We've got various things like this liquid here. This is difficult terrain, but we'll come on to that. As I say, they're double-sided, and you can make all sorts of different terrain from them. There's a shipping container there, one of my favourites, like so. All sorts of different backgrounds that you can use to create your battlefield. That one looks like a bit of an armoured train there, look. See? And that big pool of water there. So, now, each of the 3 main boxes is going to have its own tiles. All the tiles are interchangeable, so you've got an infinite variety. And also, between each game box, the tiles are interchangeable, so you just build up your collection of potential battle tiles. There's a separate pack of battle tiles you can also by. So the opportunity for replay and for different themes within your skirmish battles is absolutely huge. Now, there are only 3 different types of terrain. That is, apart from your ordinary clear terrain. You can see how the terrain squares are marked just in the corners here. And there are 3 different types of terrain apart from the clear. First of all, from what you can see here, everything in a yellow border, like so, and there's plenty of them, look, this yellow border here, that's raised terrain or elevated terrain. So everything within a yellow border is elevated. So to climb from here to here, or from here up to here, and you can move diagonally as well, is 2 movement points rather than 1. Everything else is 1. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. To climb up to vertical is 2, and then you go 1, 1, 1. To get back down again is just the 1. So the next type of terrain, and by the way, for instance, here's that shipping container. So that would be 2 to get up there, and then 1, 1, 1, and so on. The next kind of terrain is difficult terrain, and that's everything in orange. And these steel sort of girders here, that's obviously difficult terrain. It's also marked with this wiggly arrow look. So it's all delineated like that. So to move into there is 2, and then 2, 2, 2, 1. You see? So that's difficult terrain. Let's try and find some more. You got all these tyres here, or wheels, look, wheels and tyres. That's delineated in orange. That's difficult terrain, as is this pylon here. That's difficult terrain around this edge here. And this jumble of equipment here, these crates, that's delineated in orange. That's difficult terrain. Blue, a blue border, is water, or at least liquid, and that's a difficult terrain to move through. It's water. So that would be 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, and so on. And really, those are the only kinds of terrain, those 3 different types. And apart from completely blocking terrain, now you see on this vehicle here, this is some kind of armoured fighting vehicle. I don't know if you can just make that out. Around this wall here, it's obviously backed into some kind of garage. This wall here, it's all raised terrain, as is the top of the vehicle itself. And the entrance is blocked here by tyres. So that's difficult terrain, elevated terrain, difficult terrain, and so on. So that's how all that works. Dead simple. And it's great to have it all blocked out. And actually by blocking it out, like that, it does make it look, I don't know, it just adds to that futuristic, dystopian, sci-fi type feel. There is also blocking terrain, which I can't find at the moment. Unless I can quickly find it, I will just quickly pass along, like so. Oh, this is a good one. And again, some kind of armoured fighting vehicle here. Look, that's elevated terrain, difficult terrain here in those corners, and difficult terrain along here. And another one, some kind of machinery equipment here. Raised terrain all the way along the outside, difficult terrain here with those poles and these drums. And here we have the 2 different faction cards lined up and their respective playing pieces that go on the board. So a little bit of explanation here. Here are the Freemen with their sort of brick red colour. We start off with our rebel leader. We've got the scout, the grenadier, the medic, and the sniper. And over here, we've got the combine, who are policing our area. We've got the commander, who's a bit of a cyborg look here. We've got the Vanguard, which are the real soldiers. We've got Inferno, which is this huge machine here, this robotic Inferno that has a flamethrower weapon, very terrifying. We have Hellfire, another big robot type incarnation, and we have the Harpy, and the Harpy hovers. The Harpy is a medic actually for the Combine, or rather a repair bot, and he can hover. So think about that. He can hover over the battlefield. So he doesn't have to take any notice of. He can ignore rough terrain and the raised terrain, the elevated terrain, and the water. And we line these cards up at the side of our battlefield, depending on which characters we've chosen to fight our battle with us, or that the scenario has instructed us to place on the battlefield. We get the relevant cards and place them each side of the battlefield. And they're always there to give us the stats for that particular figure. Let's, for instance, take a look at Vanguard. His movement points are 4. His weapons range is 6, and that's a good one. His close combat dice, he rolls 2 dice. His ranged combat, he rolls 2 dice. And his defense is 5. Let's compare that to the Combine Commander. His movement is 4. His weapons range is 5. His close combat dice is just 1. His ranged combat is 2 dice. And his defense value is 4. And each one also on the cards reminds us of any particular special powers or abilities that that character has. And those are reminded on the player aid card that we looked at earlier, one for each faction, and it goes down the keywords, it explains the keywords for these additional abilities. Now, interesting thing, notice what I've done. For each character, I've placed 2 of the tokens, except for these, and that's just for space reasons, because there's not much room here. So, for instance, let's look at Vanguard. If we wanted 2 copies of Vanguard, if we wanted to use 2 Vanguard soldiers on our battlefield, then we can. And each one we can actually point to by its symbol in the bottom left here. That's an NBC mask symbol, and that's a radiation symbol. It simply denotes the fact that we've got 2 different Vanguard robots on the battlefield. Or over here, Grenadier. We can deploy 2 Grenadiers. There's an NBC mask symbol, and there's a radiation symbol. And that just denotes that there's a difference. They are 2 different characters. And that applies to all the different characters within the game. We can deploy, if we wish, 2 each of any of the different characters to boost up our forces on the board. Now, each character also has improvements. Look, each card gives us recruit level, veteran level, or elite level. How does that work? Let me show you. So throughout the game, a scenario can instruct you to lay a certain amount of units, types of units, and rank of units. The base rank or skill level is recruit. And that's what we looked at before. We looked at, for instance, the Grenadier here has a move of 4. His weapons range is 7. Close combat dice, he'll roll 2. Ranged combat dice, he'll roll 2. And his defense are 4. And we had a look at Inferno, where his move is 4. His weapons range is 3. Close combat dice is 2. Ranged combat dice is 3. And his defense is 6. And you'd expect that, wouldn't you? He's a big beast. Now look, so this token here on the battlefield is a recruit level token, and there's the R on there, and there's the R on the Grenadier. He's recruit level, dead easy. Now, he gets hit. So if he gets hit, one hit, you turn him over, it's a 2-step unit. So there you show that he's been hit and hurt. He still has exactly the same stats, but if he gets hit again, bang, he's off the board. So it's a 2-step unit, and the same with Grenadier here. He gets hit. That's his damaged side, gets hit again, bang, he's off the board. Okay, so recruit level is a 2-step unit. Now, one more thing. And if we're buying an army because we are using the game sandbox and we're creating our own scenarios or battles between 2 players or solitaire, either way, then we decide on a number of points. Okay, per army we're going to use 15 recruit points or 20 recruiting points. This level of recruit here costs 3. Over here, look, the cost would be 3 towards that 15 or 20 points. Now, but if I wanted a veteran, his cost would be 5. Let's move this up. Okay, if I wanted a veteran, and the same here, his cost would be 5. So how do we show veteran? Well, we have another token. There it is. The same token for Grenadier, but it's got a V on it. That's veteran. So simply now, he becomes a 4-step unit, as does Inferno. He's a 4-step unit. Bang, he gets hit. He's reduced in step. He's now a 3-step unit. Bang, so's he. And gets reduced, gets hit again. You see, he's now down to recruit level stats because he's been injured. Bang, he gets hit again. He's now down to recruit level stats because he gets injured, and so on. And further up the scale, we can put another, here we go, if we make him elite, put another unit on, and that's the maximum now. He's maxed out. This is an elite level Grenadier unit. He gets hit. He's a 6-step unit, and that goes over. He's got 5 steps left. And when it gets hit again, that gets taken off. He's now a 4-step unit. He's a veteran. So it goes down to that level there, for instance. In fact, when he was elite level, like so, okay, look at his stats. He can still only move 4, but his weapons range is now 10. He's so much better. His close combat is 3, which is excellent amount of dice. His ranged combat, he'll throw 4 dice. And let's look at Inferno chap here when he's an elite. That's right, there's the veteran side, and there's the elite. He's now an elite, a 6-step unit. 3 weapons range. It's very short because this is a flamethrower. 5 ranged combat dice to be rolled here at elite level, and his defense is right up to 8. So that's beautifully and seamlessly how this works. Like so. Absolutely superb. Very easy to follow on the battlefield. Very easy to create. So let's have a look at the next great mechanic very, very briefly. We get 5 10-sided dice with the game, and we get a nice draw bag because the next mechanic is a chip pull for activation. I've put a couple of counters out here. I think I've got 4 here. A Commander, a Harpy, a Vanguard, and Inferno, this giant over here, for the Combine. And for the Freemen, I've just got 3. I've got the Rebel Leader, I've got a Scout here, and I've got a Sniper here. Now, every single character in the game has 3 potential activation tokens. Here they are. And let's make sure they're for the correct counter. Here are the 3 for the Sniper, like so. There we go. And is it the correct Sniper because it's got the NBC mask on him, look? Yes, that's the one I've got on the board. So he's got 3 counters. for potential activation. They wouldn't be on the board, these counters, at all, by the way. I've just put them there to illustrate something. The Rebel Leader, he's got his 3 activation counters, as has the Scout. There we are. So, over here then, I've got 4 characters. 3 characters, sorry. 1, 2, 3 characters there. So I can put 3 activation tokens into the draw bag. I could put 1 of each, yeah? Or if I wanted a lot of activation, a lot of different options for my sniper this turn, I could just put my 3 sniper tokens into the draw bag. Okay? And that means the others wouldn't be able to activate. Or I could put, I don't know. In fact, I'm going to put 1 Rebel Leader into the bag. Okay? And I'm going to put 2 Scout. Okay? So there's my 3 tokens into the bag. Move these activation counters to one side. Because all we're interested in is what's in the bag. So in the bag, there are 4 activation counters for the Combine, and there's 3 activation counters for the Freemen. Okay, so it's game turn 1, and we go, draw an activation counter. It's for the Freemen, and it's the Rebel Leader. Okay, so he's going to go, for instance, he's on elevated terrain at the moment, now into difficult terrain, so that's 2, 3, 4. I'm going to leave him there. So that's his activation. That goes to one side. That's an exhausted counter. I can't use that counter next turn. Let's make another draw. Who's activating next? Oh, here we go. It's the Combine, and it's Inferno. Ah, okay. He is going 1, 2, 3. Inferno is moving, and the next activation, and we continue like that until we've exhausted all of the activation counters. The Scout next. So Scout moves. She goes 2, 3, 4, 5. Here comes Scout. Okay, so that's how activation works. So it'll be different every single game turn, and we can choose how many counters we put into the draw bag dependent on what we're wanting our people to do. But you're always restricted in the amount of counters you put in there by the amount of characters you've got on the board. That really is the very briefest of descriptions for what remains a brilliant sci-fi dystopian skirmish war game. A game that's really brought me back to the genre and allowed for such quick fire games. As I said, I read through the rules once. I played my first game and didn't have to refer to the rules at all. I did not open that rule book again. I referred to the ability charts, and that's about it. This is so adaptable for brilliant solitaire play or multiplayer. And as I said, always remember, you can get any of the 3 iterations of this game in any order you like, because each have got 2 completely different asymmetrical factions in them. I've enjoyed doing this video. I'm enjoying the game so much. I'm still playing it. I would like to do a bit of a playthrough, not too much, just to illustrate how seamlessly and smoothly this game works. Okay, so that's been Solo Board Gaming Presents For What Remains Streets of Ruin by David Thompson, of course, from DVG Games. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like, please subscribe, and see you soon.